Jimmy McAllister found the net. Goal for Wednesday.
Terrific goal by Shayna.
Chris Waddle, is he going to have a crack?
Oh, he does, and it's goal. Still Glenn Wheeler. Aidan Flynn wins the
Is there time for a winner?
5 embargoes, 5 points, a rare goal from Dom Iorfa. We've even got Barney Owl on board with the black and gold. Hello and welcome to Wednesday Tie-Dye Podcast. I'm James Mappin alongside me this week. Standing in for Matt is Mr. Joe Butler. Joe, first of all, how are you, pal? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad. Just caught me out. I'm already having a drink, hydrating and all that, you know. Thanks for warm up, but I'm here.
Look, it's not like you've not watched the pod before. You know, that's how it works. You know, we come at you fairly quick, but, you know, it's fine. We're all good. Joe, Matt messaged me earlier to say he's not going to be able to do the pod. Ear infection, he tells me. It's funny that, because I've put Sky Sports main event on, and Ryder Cup seems to be on. Singles final day, but anyway, get well soon, Matt. Hope Europe win. And all that, you know.
Yeah, exactly. That Ryder Cup ear infection, it's going round, innit? There's been a few people out, but just Saturday and Sunday. So you'll be right as rain tomorrow.
I'm sure he will be. I mean, Europe are absolutely thrashing USA as it stands as well.
Yeah.
No, he could have at least come on. He could have had it on its side like he normally usually does. But anyway, right, back onto football matters for a second, Joe. I'd forgotten what it feels like to celebrate an actual goal at Hillsborough, but it feels pretty good, doesn't it?
It was a really good weekend. It's funny, actually, because me and you actually bumped into each other. So it's my lad. It's his 11th birthday tomorrow. So he's got his best friend from school, and his mum's a blade, like through and through. And I said, oh, we're going at Wednesday game. We can take your lad. And she's like, oh, I'm not sure. And I'm like, well, we can ask him what he wants to do. And it was amazing. It's the first time he's been anywhere other than Bramall Lane. And as I'm walking down, I'm like, right, don't lose this stranger's kid. And then I'm looking up and you just pop up and you're in front of me. And it was a top day, really. As this kid walked into the stadium, he's like, whoa, Hillsborough. And he was like blown away. And I'm like, I'm going to get videos of him like chanting Wednesday and all that, send it his mom. So it was a top weekend for us. And all I said is I just want a goal. You know, I just want a goal, and we got that, and it was amazing. Top day.
Well, I said, didn't I? You know, when they score, you've got to celebrate. Now, actually, we are at Hillsborough, so you might not even have to worry about that. But no, there was an actual goal. It wasn't a win, but it was an actual goal, and by Dom Iorfa as well, which you know, a rare Dom Iorfa goal, but
well deserved as well. Well deserved goal, to be honest. I thought we were on top when we scored. Yeah,
definitely. Before we talk about the match and things. Before kick-off, I've already referenced it, Barney swinging around one of these black and yellow scarves that I've got. They're like, hottest fashion item going. Can't get one for love nor money. I mean, I'm not going to tell you that I have got about 5 here stood in my hands, but like gold dust, like absolute gold dust. But anyway, Barney's got one, swinging it around, and I'm seeing it, I'm going, Is he really swinging that black and yellow? Like thinking that's, I must admit, my first thought was he's getting sacked tomorrow. I can't see Dej kind of, take. But what did you think when you saw that?
I thought next morning you're going to see Barney with a scarf around his thing with a cigarette, and he's going to be like lining up like World War II style. Any last words? Yeah, he's going to have a firing squad, isn't he? But long live him.
Well, I didn't expect to hear, have a statement from Barney Owl before Dej, but that's what we've got. We are not a normal football club. No. I am just going to read it out as well. He says, this is on Twitter, he says, I'm a fan first and an employee second. This is my 20th season working for the club that I love, starting when I was 18 years old. I stand with the fans. Without them, there is no Sheffield Wednesday. I'm match day staff only, paid the same as stewards. I've had no pay issues personally, but I don't do this for the money. I do it for the fans and for the badge. Since this isn't my main job, I'm in a position where I can speak out. Many others aren't. Please continue to show empathy and respect for all staff who can't. It's been difficult difficult watching dedicated colleagues grow demoralised by the silence. The lack of clear communication about their pay, roles and the club's future is taking a real toll. Like many others, I believe a change in ownership is the only way to safeguard the long-term future of the club and the immediate short-term stability of the staff who work here. As it says in my bio, these are my views, not those of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. My views and actions are independent of the club and any supporters, groups or trust. And he signs off by saying, up the Owls. So if we see Barney Owl being 6'6" for on Saturday's game against Coventry, it's because he's been being replaced with someone else. But you know what? Fair play. It's you know what? Like
credit.
Fair play for him to come out and say all that. You know.
Absolutely. I mean, Barney Owl for PM. You know, it can turn Wednesday around. Maybe it can turn country around. You know, I mean, what a statement. Absolutely credit to him. He's in a position where he can speak out. You've got to understand not everybody in the club can. I mean, my wife is going through some redundancies with Rotherham Council at the minute and things like that, and she's in a difficult position where she's been offered strike action, and you know, some people are saying, but it's my main source of income, and I'm paying my mortgage. I've got kids. If I strike, I don't want to, you know, lose my income. And it's like people at the club, I'm sure they're in a position where, you know, if they rock the boat, are you out on your arse? And then, you know, your mortgage ain't getting paid. So totally respect people that have got to look after theirs and their family. But, you know, Barney Owl, long may it continue.
Yeah, I'm just going to read some comments out. Do get them in if you're watching on YouTube or on Twitter as well. James says, ladies and gentlemen, this is embargo number 5. We'll get onto that in a second. Chris says, evening. John says it can't get any worse. Oh, yes, it can. Craig says, special guest tonight. Annie's in the building. Go on.
Greg, if you're not nice, I'm not paying you to come paint my house, all right? Your local painter, come give me a quote. Very, very fair. Greg's painting and decorating services. Other painters are available, but if you're not kind tonight, Craig, I'm not getting you to come and paint my kitchen. So, just word of warning.
There we go. We've got Steve in, we've got Mark as well. Barry says Barney's done. John says golf, poker, podcast, proper multitasking. Obviously in reference to Matt there. Who else we got? James says, evening folks, DH Gate shirts galore. Yeah,
hey, this is DH Gate, and I ordered wrong one. I've got full name on back, Anna. I didn't even mean to. So I'm walking around 39 years old with Banana Crossbite, but I'm owning it.
Look, it could have been worse. It could have been another name. You know, sometimes they do get them wrong. Or you could have had. Do you know what I really don't like is when you see someone wearing a shirt and then they've got a player but from the wrrong era. Do you know what I mean? Or it's the wrong number
this shirt's
as well.
era. Yeah, like Waddle on this shirt. Wrong.
Or like my shirt that I've got wearing with Bannon on back. Like no, not to. I mean, to be fair though, like you know. You could be unlucky. Your name could be Smith. Do you know what I mean? You could have that shirt you've got on with Smith on back, and everyone's thinking, "Fucking hell, Smith! He's got wrong number and wrong name and everything." Like, I didn't play in that shirt when actually it's your own name, which could be a bit unfortunate. Anyway, there's loads of comments. I can't get through them all. Matt did say Barney Owl as chairman. Yes, definitely. Right, let's. I mean, on the Mambo number 5, we have had the playlists at half time, being quite creative. Let's say the person that's been in charge of the music has probably been on our side, not our Dej.
100% after today.
But yeah, he played Mambo number. It could be he or she played Mambo number 5 at half time, which I just think is ultimate shithousery in it. Really, like it's just.
Love to see.
Yeah, just them subtle things like that. Just you know, when it came blurting out, you didn't notice it at the time, did you?
I didn't know, I must admit. But then again, I was explaining to my son's best friend why we're not buying him a Coca-Cola, and he's like, "But I'm really thirsty." And I'm like, "Sorry, kid, you're just gonna have to hold that thirst for about an hour." Because by the way, I'm not buying you out on way home. We're gonna get out to beat traffic. So, but why can't we buy anything? So that was the conversation I was having.
Come here, just sit here, little Jimmy. Let me just tell you the story. You know, like just. What it is do you want the long story or the short story?
No, I didn't ask. He just got the long one, like all 15 minutes of the halftime show.
Yeah, you finished. You went, oh.
Yeah.
You finished, then you went, oh look, they've come out again. No, that's fine. Yeah. Second half started. So I mean, just on that. I mean, obviously, I sat on the north stand. Half time, I think there was 2 kiosks that were open. I mean, the concourse was absolutely dead as well. But the shutters are down and things.
Yeah.
When people are saying that boycott's not working, I mean, I'm sorry, but it 100% is, because even it's not before that last season, for example, it wasn't the busiest, but you still at half time went down.
You were always queues, though. You were still queuing at half time.
Yeah, it was the running joke, weren't it? Like, if you need a pint at half time, you've got to go down on 35 minutes, because if not, you're not going to get one until second half's kicked off. Whereas to go down and to see it deserted, and again, I don't know how it's all worked out, whether it is outside caterers that come in and run it, or whether I've absolutely no idea. But if it is that case, and they've gone the first couple of games this season, and there's been literally no one buying anything, they're going to think, well, what is the point? Like, what is the point in manning it and opening it up and wasting money, because you can't just turn up and have no pies. they've got to have things ready, and then nobody's buying them, are they? So yeah, it is a double-edged sword, isn't it? When you look at it. So I want to get your point, your kind of thoughts on the whole embargo, the boycott and things, and the protests. Obviously, not me and Matt talk about this every single week. Yeah. But what's your stance on all this, Joe?
Chansiri, simple as he's had his time, he's run his course, he's proven over and over and over till we're blue in the face, literally. We can't carry on like this. I was surprised to see the shutters down, so I sit on the family stand, on the south stand, and the main food place is open on the left, but then the drinks directly behind it was closed. And for somebody that's so proud, I think that's signs of cracks showing. Like you said, to put the kegs on, to warm all the food up. If you're investing a couple of grand in food and drink, and then you're getting 200 quid back, you're not going to do it, because you're running at a loss. So you're going to close them. But for somebody that we know is proud, I thought that's the first signs of cracks at Hillsborough. And I think, to be honest, it was a great morale booster. Everybody I talked to around me were like, yeah, did you see it was short? And it was like, what we're doing is working. So the other interesting thing as well is, this is my second year with a season ticket with me 10-year-old lad who were kicking around earlier. It's now 8:10, so he'd better be in bed. But if anyone sees him, ping me. It's behind you. But no, it was. I was talking to people around me, and a lot of people are you going to renew in January? And I didn't really think about it, but I thought, honestly, probably. And I probably would renew. I'm not going to spend any money in the shop. I'm not going to buy anything while I'm here, but I like coming to football on a Saturday. But then I was asking, and I asked everyone, and like, no, 100% not doing it, not renewing. And I think I spoke to 5 or 6 people, and they all said, I've had these tickets 4, 5, 6 years, and I'm not doing it while he's here. And I'm like, well, to be honest, if everyone's going to do that, I'm not going to be Billy No Mate sat there with sky cameras and panning in on me. Look at this loser, just sat on his own in the middle at South Stand. So I think, to be honest, I love where I sit. I love the people around me, but we've got to vote with his feet. And based on that sample size of probably 6, 7 people I spoke to, I would say 90% of the people I've spoken to have all said we're not renewing a season ticket. So, I think
you
got to do it.
Joe, there's a lot of people in your situation where their initial reaction would be, and I must admit, it was mine. I was kind of and ahhing 6 weeks ago or so, kind of thinking, actually, I probably will still get a season ticket, because it's what like you just said there, it's what I love doing. That's my, every other Saturday and some midweeks as well. It's what I look forward to it, even when we're not playing very well. It's like, right, I've got a match to go to. Yeah, right, do things in the morning. The whole afternoon's taken up by going to the match, and I love it. Of course I do. I do the podcast about it. You know what I mean? But like, as time goes on, and you're thinking, actually, that is like one of the biggest purchases that you're going to make. It pretty much will be. There's not many bigger purchases than a season ticket for any normal match going fan. Yeah, all right, a box is more expensive than that. Yeah, you could buy 10 shirts if you wanted to. That's going to come to more than a season ticket, but that's a bit unrealistic. So, and actually, when you do the numbers as well, and you look at, if it's 15,000, 16,000 season ticket holders paying an average of £500 each, then you're probably looking at the best part of £8-9 million or whatever it may be when you do the numbers, which is a considerable amount of money. Massive. And honestly, genuinely now, I think it'll be quite comical, really, and I think embarrassing, which I think is obviously what we're aiming for when you go from numbers. I mean, the official attendance yesterday was in excess of 20,000, which it was at. We all know what they do with they count all the season ticket holders, but honestly, I think. I still think there's going to be some. But I want to reiterate this: like, for a boycott to work, it doesn't. You don't have to have 100% buy-in. Like, I can see the comments already. People are buying pints. There will be. There will be people buying drinks, pies, pints, whatever. You can't stop absolutely everybody from doing something. I've seen people say, there's been a picture doing the rounds of a guy wearing a black and yellow scarf and he was drinking a pint that he just bought. Like, please just, like, if it's just one person, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to cover the overheads and stuff. There was a tweet that I saw as well. People saying, in terms of all the kiosks being short, it's always saving money by not employing them people and stuff. And yes, he is. But the point is, he's not making any money. That is the whole kind of idea behind having the kiosks open and selling these things, to generate profit. And if we force them to close, hallelujah, nobody can buy anything anymore. Like, do you know what I mean? If they're all shut, we're not going to have this issue where people's taking photos of people having drinking a pint at half time and calling them out and stuff like that, because there won't be any pints to buy, like, because people have stopped doing it. So it's definitely working, Joe. And like, we don't need to have
absolutely
100% buy-in for it to have an effect.
No, and the thing is, I would just urge caution, because you never know what somebody's going through, right? I think everybody tries to do the best, and if somebody's got a black and yellow scarf on, they agree with the overall sentiment. But I had a conversation with somebody this week, I can't remember where it was, but it was a lady, and she just said, my son's autistic, and he makes his life decisions based around Wednesday's schedule. And if, like, the Leeds game, I had to take him to the Leeds game, because I can't explain to my autistic son why he can't go to watch Wednesday. So for me, she says, I felt like a traitor walking past everybody, and some were booing and some were making comments and all this. But, like, I think it's really easy for us to judge. And you see this bloke drinking a pint, you don't know what he's going through. He could have lost his dad that week, and he just thinks, you know what, I need a pint. So just live and let live, right? We're all Wednesday. We want him out, and it's our football club. We will be here long after he's gone. But try not to judge. It's him buying a pint. It's not suddenly going to be ringing a bell. Bannon's getting paid. He's bought a pint for £4. You know what I mean? It's silly.
Yeah, look, there's no queues. It's not loads of people. Doesn't really matter.
No.
They're all short. It's definitely working. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's not going to amount to much. Let's just look at the bigger picture. I think. Let's not start this infighting again, because I can just see him. Well, I can't. That's the problem. He's all over the other side of the world. But if I can just imagine him being sat there, like, giggling and laughing to himself that all these fans are just fighting amongst themselves, or maybe he doesn't even care about that either. Maybe he just doesn't give two fucks. But we'll see. Liam says, I won't be renewing in the early bird phase for sure. We'll delay it till as late as possible.
Definitely.
Don't give DC any sort of cash injection. Yeah, definitely.
Absolutely.
I think I've also seen other people, and it'll be those that either sit directly behind the dugout, or they'll sit on the halfway line on either the north stand or the south stand. They've had they are the prime seats, or you sit on that row on the south stand that's got extra leg room. That's like gold dust. That row. I'm sure every single person that sits on that row is a season ticket holder, and they'll still not want to get rid of those. However, saying that, I don't think this season. I still don't think they've actually given up everyone's season ticket that didn't have one last season. I think, correct me if I'm wrong, people might be able to look now, but I'm sure you can't get a season ticket. If someone had a season ticket and they haven't renewed it, I'm pretty, because they kept extending that deadline, didn't they? It kept getting extended. You've now got another week or another month to renew. But I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, let's just before we get onto the football chat and the 1-1 draw with QPR yesterday, I just want to say that the podcast has been nominated for award, or shortlisted, should I say, for Best Club Content Creator in the Football League at the Football Content Awards, which is going to be at the end of November, I do believe. Unfortunately, it is at Leeds United. It's at Elland Road, which is a bit of a blow.
Disgusting.
I know exactly. I mean, last year it was at the new Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. We was at the one the year before. That was at Anfield. That was decent. Fucking Elland Road. I mean, it could have been worse. It could have been Bramall Lane. I mean, I think I would have protested and not gone if it was there.
Disgusting.
But no. Please do vote for us. The link should be in the show notes. It probably isn't because I probably forgot to put it in there. But go on our socials at WTID Pod. You can find it. Just have to scroll down a little bit. You'll find it there. Please do vote for us. It takes literally seconds. If it's not there, as soon as we finish tonight, I will put it up there, and you can do just that. Right, let's talk about the game then, Joe. Starting lineup then, it was exactly the same as last week against Portsmouth. So it was Horvath in goal, Iorfa, Weaver and Max Lowe, Palmer, Valerie, Bannon, Ingleson, Amas, Cadamartre and Brown. So it was unchanged for the first time this season. And what was your thoughts when you saw that starting lineup, Joe?
Yeah, I think Pedersen was on Radio Sheffield, weren't he? And he just said they'd earned to start again. And I think, you go away and you win 2-0. I think absolutely you've got a right to keep your spot. And it was funny because talking to people before the game, they're all saying, "Oh, we're getting a drubbing here. It's going to be 3-0. It's going to be 3-0." And then I'm saying to them at half time, "Are you taking 1-1?" And they're like, most of them are like, "No, I'm not taking 1-1 because we looked on top. They didn't really hurt us." And I think that lineup did really, really well. Great to see Ernie Weaver and George Brown up front just put themselves about and give QPR a really difficult day. I mean, we can come on to it later, but one of my frustrations last week at Bristol, God, that were an hard game. And you're watching like Ugbo, you're just thinking, just put your centre back. Every time ball's up in air, he's like jumping, but he looks like his heart's not in it. He's not really trying to cause problems. But, George Brown, he just seemed like a nightmare. You don't want to be anywhere near him because he's just chasing you down. And then we know what Cadamartre can do. He's the same. So, they just look like a real handful. And I thought the lineup was pretty solid, to be honest.
This is cliche in it, Joe, but they say, never change a winning side. I know some managers don't really live by that motto. And, they like to tinker with things. And I think Henrik is a little bit like that, if I'm being perfectly honest. And having heard him in the pre-match press conference, I kind of thought he might be kind of making a few changes because he said that he played he played Cadamartre and Brown because the pitch at Pompey is small, and I'm thinking, well, we're at home next, this weekend. So I thought he was kind of teeing himself up to make some changes, but I was glad that he didn't because, at the end of the day, like the first win that we've got, it was away from home, but it was those lads that did it. I thought the performance last week was, best we've seen all season. Absolutely, dying for the badge, as I said last week, and throwing themselves at absolutely everything. So I was like, they've had a full week of rest. They've probably, the reward is another start, and let's just kind of keep that momentum going. It's gonna be we're not going to have many chances this season to have any sort of momentum. I don't think so. Whilst we've got it, let's just use it. So when I saw the lineup, I was pleased really. I think obviously we have got another 2 games coming up in quick succession. We've got Birmingham we'll touch on at the end, and then we've got Coventry as well. So I can't see us playing the same side for all these 3 games this week. No. But, it's a perfect opportunity to do that. Joe, in terms of your overall thoughts then on the game, before we kind of get into some of the specifics, what was your kind of takeaway from that one? You mentioned before at half time, you said I'd have took a point. We came away with a point in the end. Perhaps could have potentially won it. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I think overall my overall feeling is just pride. I think Bristol, we made it really easy for them. And I just think whatever happens this season, I just want to see some fight. I just want to see these players play for the badge, cliche number 2. But just put themselves about. But honestly, I thought everybody had a good game. I thought there were some really outstanding performances. I thought Harry Amas looks a real handful. Ernie Weaver in defence looked absolutely solid. I thought Iorfa had a good game as well. But overall, just really proud. I come away from that thinking I could watch this week in, week out. Obviously not when I don't renew my season ticket before you get on me. But you want to see some fight, and you see performances like that, and you're not thinking, oh, I've got to come back here next week. You've got a little bit of hope, and nothing's a foregone conclusion. I think there could be 3 teams worse than us in that league, but we need everything to go well for us if we've got any chance of staying up. Injuries, suspensions, all that sort of stuff. We need numbers back. Nathan Chabala, Dishon Bernard, Piers Charles. We need these people back in the team. We need as much depth as we can get. Harry Amass is only here till January, as far as I understand, so that needs extending. We need all the other players fit and firing, and you never know. But really, really proud, really, really proud.
Yeah, it's a great point you make with those players as well. When you look at kind of, Harry Amass, obviously we didn't really expect to have him, so he's he's an extra body that we've got. But yeah, Piers Charles, again, I suppose it's a difficult one with Piers Charles because he's not really an extra body because he's just going to come back and go straight in goal, and then you're not.
But he's better than Horvath.
Of course he is. Yeah, and I think you'll feel like we've got an extra outfield player because he does act as that kind of extra defender, doesn't he, when he's playing. Shalabar. I mean, we haven't really seen him at all since he's come to us. Really, injury ridden. No. When he scored against Leicester, you're thinking, oh yes, we've got a player here. And then
it's like the Wednesday curse. Remember Momo Diaby? He had that one game against Southampton. You're like, we've got a player here, broken, and then never see him again. It's exactly the same.
Yeah, I thought he was prime Yaya when he for those 45 minutes against Preston North End, I think it was, when he made his debut.
But we were there, James. We saw it. It happened up here, still in your head.
No, I'm putting him with Joost van Aken as well. Of players that I thought were absolutely class when they first started, and then
one-hit wonders.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. For me, I didn't know what to expect, to be fair, because yes, we've come off the back of a win, but QPR, they've come off the back of 3 wins after being slapped by Coventry, 7-1.
Yeah,
I think I agree with you. I mean, I would have took a point before kickoff. You'd have said to me, it's me 1-1. I'd be like, yep, I'll take that any day of the week.
Yeah,
absolutely. But as the game kind of went on, the fact that we won 1-0 up at half time, and I think we were great value for that 1-0 win, or 1-0 lead, should I say, as well. But then again, after half time, I must admit, when they came out, I thought, well, this could be 3 or 4 quite easily, because they were coming at us at a canter. They made 3 changes. Dembele, who we were linked with, he was a real handful. He had one shot, he was dead in line with it, and it was a gnat's whisker away from going in. And I'm thinking, oh my dear God, like this could be it. But to be fair, they dug in deep, and as the game went on, after that kind of 10 or 15 minutes in the second half, I thought that we can kind of start to come into it a little bit more, and just didn't quite create those clear-cut chances, did we, Joe?
No. I think, to be honest, the word that springs to mind is toothless. We've looked really toothless going forward. There's no kind of cutting edge, and then you go back a few games to Bristol, their goals, it was just like, gets it byline, cut it back, there's somebody there, and then we do the same. I think Cads had one, it was the same, and it just fizzes across goal, and it's just like, when it's not going for you, it's not going for you. But I thought, first half, we controlled it really well. I thought it wasn't just possession for possession's sake. We really looked to be moving it left to right. I do think that Ernie Weaver and Iorfa need to work on the speed of their passing across the back, because how many times we've seen it, Liam Palmer or Max Lowe is just in acres of space, and they're going to go to them eventually, but they just do these languid passes to each other, and then he turns and puts his foot on top of the ball, and then it goes out wide, and you're like, just get it out wide faster, because then they're just getting closed down straight away. So I was a bit frustrated with some of that passing at the back. But going forward, I thought they were trying to create things, trying to do things a bit different and look at little zigzags and diagonals and all this. I thought Harry Amass, again, drawing people in. And how many times did he look to shape to play down the line, and then he just cut inside and he just run through and get you 10 yards. And he just looks a real handful. So I've been really, really impressed with him. But yeah, first half, I thought we were largely in control. I mean, there was a few chances where I was a bit like, oof, that was a bit easy. They went out wide, chipped it in the box, and then nothing really came of it. But you're like, we shouldn't be letting them get the ball into the box with, 2-3 quick passes. They opened us up a bit like tissue paper at times. But, sometimes you got to ride your luck.
Yeah, and also I think we're all under the there's no illusion that we are going to be down near the bottom, if not.
Absolutely.
I think the first, we played 6-7 games now. I don't think it's as bad as what people first envisioned.
No.
I think everyone thought we're going to be, absolute whipping boys of the league. But the fact that we've, 2 draws now, we've had a win as well, we've picked up a few points. We're kind of there and thereabouts with everyone else, really down at the bottom.
Yeah.
I genuinely thought we'd be cut adrift at this point already, and we'd be, in absolute no man's land, and it'd be really worrying. But I mean, not to say that it's not worrying. It is still, everything behind the scenes is very worrying. But at least the football's given us something a little bit to cheer about. Joe, quick, just in terms of the whole game, is it a point gained or a point lost for you? Because I think I've come out of Hillsborough and not knowing whether I should be pleased that we've got a point or it's first point at home, first goal that we've scored at home as well, or should I be disappointed that that first half we were dominant and yet we've not come out of the traps in the second half and we've only come away with a point. Really, I'm not sure which way to think, Joe.
To be honest, there's a few things that went round in my head. And as I was leaving the ground, I was thinking QPR will be really disappointed with that. They'll be thinking that they should have taken the 3 points away, so they'll be unhappy. So I think any time that your opposition is unhappy, I think you've done a good job. When I looked on BBC app and match stats, it's their XG. Take it with a pinch of salt, but theirs was like 2.3 and ours were 1 point something. And as I look back at that, I'm thinking it didn't feel like they dominated us, but I did think they had quite a lot of clear-cut chances compared to us. I thought that number 14 of theirs, is it Psycho? Is it a little Japanese lad? He just looked so dangerous anytime he got ball down that side. I remember at one bit, he's just stopped the ball dead, and Iorfa's there, and he's just inviting him, come on, commit. And then you knew what he was going to do, just dink it round him, and then he's in box. But to be fair to Iorfa, he had a really good game. Yet again, his pace kept him out of trouble on a number of occasions, but he had a really good game, I thought. But when you have to look at it overall, it's disappointing because the nature of their goal was so controversial. It was absolutely not a clear-cut penalty by any stretch. I mean, I sit in South Stand, and we're up near Cop, so we're miles away. And as he headed it down, it just looked like it come off his shoulder. It's not like if his arm's up in air and it comes straight off his arm, you're like, yeah, fair enough. But it weren't clear. But the nature of their goal leads you to think, if that other kid had scored that screamer and just tucked it in bottom corner that you mentioned earlier, you'd have been like, yeah, fair enough. But overall, I think we can't let his emotions get away with us. QPR's won 3 on the bounce. We've managed to get a point off them. You take it and you move on. It's a point game for me.
I'm just going to read a few more comments out before we talk about kind of that second half, and then we'll get onto the goals as well. Jake, and this is in reference to the Football Content Awards. What's the appearance criteria for a winner's medal at the awards? Look, Joe's already got in there already. He was asking me before we came on. He was like, and I said, look, mate, if you want to buy a ticket, you can come, but the ticket,
I've got to buy my own ticket, but yeah.
Look, not meta money. Look, I know I've not been spending any money on these proper kits and stuff, but it's still not. I'm not that flush.
I'll be up there on stage thanking Jesus when we win. Don't worry, lad.
Look, if it does happen, I mean, look, I'm just delighted to be there. To be fair, but if it does happen, I'll have a little, I will have a little chancery out. Message.
We've all worked hard on this. We've all worked hard on this. One of us has done decades. One of us has literally got a text at 7:30 and rocked up with a pint of squash. We've worked hard at this. I think we deserve it, James.
They all count. They all count, definitely. They all count. Matt says he'll take a point on Tuesday, but Coventry will put 5 past us. Liam says draw was fair, but we could have won it at the end. Yeah, definitely agree. Adam says Ingleson has really stepped up this season. And then Annie says, when are we going to get some decent officials and linesmen who know the offside rules? Yeah, we're going to be talking about those the referee and also the lino as well, because I think he had his eyes painted on at times. We'll talk about them a little bit later on. But Joe, that second half, I mean, they made 3 changes at half time, which you never really see. A bit ballsy from their gaffer. I mean, I said at half time they will definitely have a rocket up their arse because they weren't at the races, and I think they did exactly what Pompey did in terms of I think they underestimated us really.
Absolutely.
I suppose when you look at it, 3 games, 8 goals conceded, not 1 goal scored. as an opposition team, you're probably going to think, well, it's a piece of piss. These are absolutely shy. We're going to turn up and we're going to come away with all 3 points. They didn't. I think they got humbled certainly in that first half. But they certainly had a rocket in the second half because they came out 110 mile an hour.
Yeah,
and I just don't think we knew what changes they'd made and where they were playing. And it took us a while to adjust to it, didn't it, Joe?
It did. And I think any team is going to have to take a step back when a team that is full of confidence, winning 3 on the bounce, comes at you. They clearly have some very talented footballers. Some of their close control and the little triangles they were making and the zigzag passes. I remember one at Blokes who was behind and he's like, wow, look at them triangles. I'm like, it weren't even a triangle. It was like letter Z. They made like 4 passes and they were on the edge of our box. But to be fair, what I was really, really proud of is we weathered that storm. Yes, they got the penalty. These things happen. But other than that, I thought we handled it quite well. I think we defended really well in the phases. Not just letting them get shots away, really challenging for every kind of inch, and not giving them an easy game. And then we come back into it. How many times have we seen it? Watford springs to mind, where it was a really close game first half, and then they put 4 past us, and it ends up with 6-1, 6-2, whatever it were, second half. And I'm thinking, is this a Watford? And we didn't let that happen. So you consider everything holistically. The squad we've got, the position we're in. I think we're in a worse position than we were last year. And when we perform better under the similar circumstances.
Yeah, like we could have just fell apart massively. And I must admit, I did think that, especially when they get the goal so early in that second half, and then it was just a bit of an onslaught after that point. And I'm thinking, like, we literally can't get out of our own half here. A little bit like what QPR were like in the first half. And I know, a game ebbs and flows and things like that, and you do get kind of, bits of pressure, and then it kind of the other team comes onto you a little bit. But I just felt like, oh dear me, this is it now. If we concede another goal and we go 2-1 down, I can't really see us coming back. But like you said, we managed to weather it a little bit. We forged a few chances ourselves, and actually, in the end, I think it was a pretty even game. I think I saw a comment earlier. Barry says it was an entertaining game, and I do agree. For a neutral, it probably was. It was, we had something to cheer about, didn't we, Joe? Certainly in that second half, like in the last 10, 15, 20 minutes or so, when we were kind of willing the ball into the net, it weren't clear cut chances. There were very few of those. Actually, before we get onto the goals, I will talk about one of them. Bannon has a free kick, second half, very, very clever free kick, finds Liam Palmer.
Yeah,
and he's just got his feet on the wrong, his shoes on wrong feet, hasn't he? Because he's just got
anyone else but
up.
Liam Palmer, and I think that's it back at net. But you were just like, oh, what a chance! And then it was so disappointing. It was so well worked as well. And I think that, to be fair though, we're all disappointed Liam didn't convert it. But I do think those sorts of goals only Bannon and Liam and players that have got that chemistry can create, because that's clearly kind of training ground. And did anybody else notice as well, they started doing the kind of Harry Maguire England line up for some of the corners where they were all in a line as well. They started doing that a bit. So it's good to see that they're trying something with set pieces. And I thought we've looked a bit more threatening from them. So it's good that this is happening. And if you can get, a few goals out of these sort of set pieces, then more for it, because where else are they going to come from?
Yeah, let's talk about our goal then. Just on the half-hour mark, big Dom Iorfa. It's a deep free kick from our Baz. I mean, when you watch it back, it's an excellent delivery. One of those where it's teased the goalkeeper into coming out, and it really, and he's come, and he's just not got there at all. He's close, but he's not got there. Big Dom at the back post. All he has to do, keeper don't get there. I say all he has to do. He just gets his head on it, and the keeper's not there, is he really? And it's looked fairly easy. I've got to admit, when I've seen him, when I'm watching it, because I'm dead in line, I've not kind of the ball. You can't really judge the distance very well, because obviously being up on the opposite side of the pitch. I know I said at the top how it's nice to cheer a goal, but it were a bit of a mooted celebration, because I didn't know whether they were going to be given for, I don't know, a foul on the keeper, or I were waiting for something, offside or
100%
something to happen. I'm like,
yeah,
oh, we've scored.
What? we've actually scored. It was like it's what you'd imagine VAR's like, right? It's like, can you actually celebrate it? I think that's just because we've been so downtrodden for so long. You don't actually believe it when we score. But no, I thought, to be fair, one thing I want to compliment is Bannon's delivery. I thought they looked absolutely lethal. You know, he had a couple of corners where they're at the front post, and you're thinking, oh no, but then even still, Cadamartri got up and he's got that glancing header across, and you're thinking, maybe they're working on that front post delivery. But how many times have we seen it where it's the first man and cleared away, or they're just crap deliveries? But I thought we looked really, really threatening from his deliveries, and long may it continue.
Yeah, Steve BDR Smith says set pieces were a lot better yesterday for sure. He also goes on to say QPR goalkeeper doing his best Superman impression. Liam says Bannon is QPR's kryptonite. Yes, when I did the preview show, the QPR lad mentioned him, and he just said like how he's I think he scored 3 goals against them. I'm not sure how many assists, but that's certainly another goal contribution. Adam says, when we are backed into a corner, we perform. Look at the playoffs semi-final, And John says, we're doing Harry Maguire defending at times, let alone the set-piece routines. Here's a bit of trivia for you, though, Joe.
Go on.
I've not prepped you for this one, so it's just straight off the bat. Dom has made 195 appearances for Sheffield Wednesday, but how many goals has he scored for us in those 195 games?
Not a lot. Less than 5?
7. That was his 7th goal for Sheffield Wednesday. Go on then. When was his last goal?
Oh, no idea. 2 seasons ago. Not last season, I don't think.
It was last season, actually. 5th of November, Norwich at home in a 2-0 win. Before that, you have to go back to... I've just got 11th of July down here. I've not even got a year. I think it was 2019, I think it was. But that was against QPR as well. So
very good.
There you go, in a 3-0 win way back then. Actually, I think it was 2020 it was, because I looked. It was if we're playing in July... That was in the COVID season where the games where the season got suspended and then played it later. So yeah, must have been 2020 or 21. No idea, not got a clue. I'm sure someone will put it in the comments in a second. The people have been guessing here. 6 for Doug. James said 6. Steve said 5. Adam got it bang right with 7 goals. Yes, right. The penalty then. You've already kind of touched on it. Saying that if it was a bit controversial. I think for me, I think it's harsh, but it is a pen. I think if the header, I don't know, if the header's going on target and it hits your hand, whether you're looking, not looking, or whatever, I think you've stopped a goal scoring opportunity. And should your hand really be up there as well? I don't know. I think it's harsh, but for me, if it were the other way around, I'll be absolutely screaming if you've not given a pen for it.
Yeah, I mean, the way I saw it, it just looked like a really high challenge at the back post. And then I'm thinking, doesn't look like a pen, but I'm thinking, if it has his hand and his hand's up by his head, why is his hand there? You know, whether you're kind of jumping and you've got your hands up to kind of propel yourself upwards or whatever. If it's hit his hand, because I've not seen it back, if it's hit his hand up there, then like you say, you know, it's a tough one, isn't it? It's one of those you could get either way, but unfortunately, when you're down there, luck doesn't really go your way.
Well, like I said, if you're you know, if it was us, if it was the other way around, you're absolutely screaming. I mean, I'm just going to try and play it now, just whilst we're talking, just to kind of see what's happening.
Refresh your memory. I think a lot of people around me though look really kind of disbelief. You know, they were like, "Oh, bloody hell!" It didn't look obvious at all. You know, and that's the thing that really kicked you.
Yeah. I mean, when you see from the camera angle that I've just watched there. You can't really see a great deal, but I think there's a great one kind of from, I think when they show you on a replay from behind the goal, and you can see it, and it's just really unfortunate, and it's just one of those where we've done all the hard work, we've had a great first half, we get a goal as well, so we're in the ascendancy, and then like you said, it's not even a 20-yard thunder bastard that's going top bins. We've effectively gifted him a goal from 12 yards out, really. I know. I was also thinking when he stepped up, I'm like, wait a minute, Horvath. He might not be great at catching ball, but he's saved a few penalties already this season. I'm like,
he still went right way as well.
Yeah, he did. I think the pace just took it past him, really.
It was a great penalty, to be fair. It was hard. It was right in the back corner. You know, I don't think anyone's saving that. He went the right way. He's a big guy, but what can you do?
Yeah, it's again, like I said, just really, really frustrating. One thing that did please me though about yesterday's performance, the front two. Much better. Obviously, I wasn't at Pompey. I know I watched the game and stuff, but when you give it the eye test and you're actually there in person and you can see it, I think they really both stood out. You know, obviously Bailey Cadamarteri and George Brown. You know, just a real handful, weren't they, Joe? Like, I mean, I looked at the stats, and we're going to come on to George Brown in more detail in a second, but George didn't even have a shot on, not even on goal. Like, didn't even have a shot at all, which I thought was a bit surprising when I saw that. But it was just the way that he put himself about. I think when he got clattered with what I think people are saying was an elbow in the face at one point. But it was just a real handful. He was ragging their defenders around. I think he got pulled up for it at one point. But he was just making him. It was being a nuisance. And I think sometimes in football, certainly from a fan's perspective, we forget what things that are done off the ball are as important sometimes, if not more important, than the people that are on the ball. You know, if you're being a nuisance and then that defender's having a really tough time and really struggling, they're going to be touch tight to you all the time, and you can drag them players around.
Exactly.
If you're absolutely shite, like Igbo, I bet they just leave him and go, like, might as well leave him, mate, because he ain't going to fucking score. Like, what's the point in marking him? Do you know what I mean? So I think. Yes, he didn't have a shot off. He didn't get a goal like he did last week. But I'm really impressed with both Cadamarteri and Brown. And I hope they kind of forge some sort of partnership. I mentioned this last week, Joe. I don't want him to be like, well, 1 week it's Cadamarteri and Ugbo, then next week it's Brown and Jamal Lowe or whatever. Like I want him to be them two or neither. And I'm sure.
Totally agree.
They made the subs, didn't they? And we finished up with Ugbo and Jamal Lowe. Let's try and have two. You can make 5 subs now, so there's no excuse. Let's have 2 partnerships that are solely working together, and let's get them both clicking. Yeah. But certainly the 2 that started, I thought were fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was keen to watch George Brown, given his plaudits that he got for the performance the week before. And, he just looked like a nightmare. He just looked like a bulldog chasing a tennis ball. He just never stopped. But think of this kid, right? I don't know how old he is, but he's obviously not very old. And come through Wednesday Academy. He's playing at home in front of 20,000 people. He's got nothing to lose. He must just be so full of confidence. He got a goal the week before as well. And
he's 19, by the way, Joe. He's
19. Can you imagine playing at Hillsborough in front of 20,000 at 19? God, the things I were doing at 19 instead. We'll not go into that on this podcast, family show. But no,
I think I were a few Jaeger bombs. I think is in Embrace downtown. I think it was what I were doing at 19.
Yeah. I used to work at Tryst in Rotherham, so I was probably barman serving Jaeger bombs. But yeah, that's all closed down now. But no, he just looked a real handful. And to be honest, the Bristol game, I'm an eternal optimist, but I was just so disappointed with Ugbo because the whole game, he just never really looked to be trying to disrupt the defender. He always kind of like jumped, and it looked, perception is not always reality, but the perception I got is he was always jumping half-heartedly. When they kind of do that jump after the defenders jump, I better look like I'm trying to win this, but actually really trying. And then George Brown, he was just giving absolute 100%, and Cadamarteri, you know what you get. Again, another bulldog. But I completely agree. Play those 2 together, let them get some chemistry in a partnership. And the optimist in me says, if not for this season, I think there'll be a real handful in League One, and we'll need him if it gets to that. But long may it continue.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it was just kind of the relentless running that they were doing, and we saw it against Portsmouth last week. Was that closing down from the front? And I think one thing I noticed, certainly with Bailey Cadamarteri, very intelligent closing down, and certainly the goalkeeper. Definitely. He doesn't just run in straight lines. He curves his run. He's blocking off that pass first and foremost, and Correct. Then he's closing them down. And what he's doing, I mean, what we need to do is see that, and you players like Ingleson, on one side, or if it's Harry Amass or Bannon, whoever it may be, they've got to be wise to it, because they've got to then close down, their wing back or wherever that ball is now going to, because he shuts off that pass to the centre back. We need to be intelligent enough to do that, and I think it does take time and a lot of effort and energy, which obviously is something that we're not going to have as kind of the season goes on. Certainly, if we, if things stay exactly the same, which, let's be honest, it doesn't look like it's going to be changing anytime soon, does it? So, but again, he's showing kind of signs of someone who's kind of 5, 6, 7 years older than what he actually is, and obviously that's just barely Cadamarcio. But yeah, I was really really impressed. Also, George Brown's got a bit of pace on him, hasn't he, Joe?
Yeah,
there was one moment where it was absolutely tear-arsing through, and I'm like, who the fucking hell is that? He's absolutely rapid.
And you hope as well that's the start of his pace, and as he grows into a strapping young lad, he's going to get a bit stronger, a bit quicker, and it's like Cads, you see these pictures of him in his was it Dubai, and it was all this heat, and he's still running, and he's just absolutely shredded, and he just looks like an absolute unit now. I wouldn't want to go up against him, and he's jumping up against these big defenders, and he's not getting pushed off the ball easily. He looks a real handful. But yeah, they are I know we've got a lot of Football Manager fans. I've just pre-reserved my copy of 26 today as well. Son's birthday, and he's gone on my Steam thing, and like, Dad, you've got Football Manager in your basket. I want to buy Euro Truck Simulator. It's 16 quid, and I've got 20 quid. I'm like, right, fine. It's like, you've got Football Manager in your basket. Am I taking it out? I'm like, no, you are not. So I've just transacted it today. Got 45 quid though. 45 quid.
Well, then you can just tell Mrs. like, oh, son did it. I didn't do it. He's done it, but can't get any refunds now.
100%. 100%. She's not going to watch this anyway. But yeah, 45 quid. Oh, it's a tenner that game, love.
Just on that quickly, by the way. You see people doing these challenges and stuff. I mean, the biggest challenge will be keeping Wednesday up. You don't need to do any. You don't need to go in-game editor. You don't need to change anything. Just be Sheffield Wednesday's manager.
Yeah.
It'd be interesting to see kind of, how realistic it actually is in terms of, are we going to be under an embargo straight away? Are we going to be able to sign any players? What's the money situation going to be like? It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, and I do think as well, Football Manager's games of the past, you get a few seasons and you sign some free agents, and then you can easily get to the Premier League. It just takes time, and then you just keep signing free agents and selling them for money, and you work it up. But having all these embargoes, it's going to be, I think, FM 26 is going to be one to save for nihilistic Wednesday fans that like a bit of pain and punishment. But no, looking forward to that.
In fear of losing about half the watchers of.
Let's move on. But the point I was going to say is that those two look like the very definition of a pressing forward. They're not super technical. They don't seem super quick or really dynamic, creative forwards. But they'll press you, harass you. Lee Gregory-esque type, makes defenders look really uncomfortable. And how often did we see it? I forget that black gentleman that they had in their defence. He went up against Cads a few times, and he looked really rattled. And then he fell over a few times, and a few passes went stray. And I just thought they look really uncomfortable going up against these two. And I think they gave him a really tough day. And I think it's always a sign of what you're doing is working if they start getting a bit physical, because I thought they started, all right, let's put one on them, let's leave one on them. And there were a few times, because where I was sat right in front of us, where the guy's gone up with his arms and just put his arm straight in back at George Brown's neck, and it looked quite bad. But to be fair to him, I thought, Jesus, that looked painful. He just got up and he's like, yeah, all right. And I think he took it for what it was. It's a compliment,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Amadou Mbengu, I think is his name. He's a young 23-year-old centre-back that they got from Reading last time out. Yeah, but certainly they were. I think George Brown were giving as good as what he got. Really, do you know what I mean? Throwing his weight around a little bit. One thing I want to touch on. It's something that I've been saying for many years. And I really noticed it, yesterday against QPR, was just how deep Barry Bannon ends up dropping. Like, it's one of my pet hates. It's something that I really don't like, and I don't know whether it's him that's doing it or whether it's Henrik that's telling him to do that, or whether it were Danny Reel telling him to do that beforehand, and Darren Moore and everyone else. You know, like it's just, he's done it many, many times. So I don't know whether it is him kind of in wanting to do everything and kind of get the ball, you know, the game by the scruff of the neck and really do something. And I also think it's an element of him not really trusting perhaps some of the players that are around him as well. I feel like he has to then take up that kind of quarterback role, which is fine. Look, he can do it. He's a technically what a player. He needs the ball 20 yards, 30 yards, 40 yards further forward. He doesn't need to be picking the ball up off the centre back, because then when he does pick out a pass, he's not there for the next pass, if you know what I mean. Exactly. Like he's too far away from the play, and he's just not really in it. If it is a quick pass that he makes, yes, he is that one that can pick out a 60-yard diag and find someone on the wing. But I don't know about you, Joe. I just want to see him further forward. I feel like we play much better when he is in that more advanced position, personally.
Yeah, 100% agree. I mean, I mentioned it earlier. You know, Ernie Weaver and Iorfa, they looked a bit lost of ideas, and I think Ernie Weaver, you can completely understand he's not going to want to try a through ball and pick out Bannon in an advanced position, because if that goes wrong, then he's going to get pelters, and he's only a young lad. Iorfa, centre back. I always think Iorfa's more a full back, wing back, right off of a back three. We know his composure on the ball can sometimes not be great, but I thought again yesterday he had a great game. But I think Bannon got frustrated with the pace of the ball across the back line, and then he's dropping into that left back role. And because we sit on South Stand in first half, he's right in front of us, and then he's got Max Lowe and Harry Amass in front of him, so he had options. But then, like you say, he's spraying these passes, but then there's a massive Barry Bannon-shaped hole in midfield, because who's picking up that second ball? That's where you need him, because that's where your creativity and your goals are coming from. Those little, how many times have you seen it, Barry Bannon? Just those little balls, he just slips somebody through. If he's 20 yards further back, he's not doing that, and that's what we need him doing. But like you say, is it Bannon? Is it Henrik Pedersen? I don't know, but it's a difficult situation, is it? Because if he's not there, then what does happen is the defenders are going to kind of dally about with it. And how many times did we see it? Iorfa eventually gets it to Palmer, and then Palmer's closed down, and Palmer kind of just pings it up the line, and Valerie's running into that space, or Cads is running in channel, and it did okay. To be honest, it worked a bit better than I thought it would, because every time Palmer's kind of pinging them balls over their fullback, Cads made a lot of it, but it's not really what you want to be seeing.
No, I mean, I think Louis bang right here. I think he says, I think it's him just trying to dictate the game, and yeah, it is. And I think it is also that element of helping out Ernie Weaver. It's an option for him to go to, and yeah, Dom Iorfa, he's never the most comfortable, is he, on the ball? And then you've got Palmer on the other side. I think I think Steve's bang right as well. That's where we miss Pierce Charles. Yeah, 100%. Pierce Charles was that man that Barry Bannon trusted with his life, it seemed. He was able to leave him to his own devices, and he knew that he could do that. He could pick out those passes. I think maybe if Pierce Charles comes back, because that's another thing, if he's stuck with Weaver, Iorfa, and then he gets closed down, and then we're going back to Ethan Horvath quite quickly. Yeah, quite quickly we could be in a bit of a pickle here. So I think it's that all that it's just the situation that we find ourselves in, that he feels like he has to do that. But I just want him further forward. I just want Barry Bannon further forward, where he's more effective. We've touched on Ernie Weaver quite a few times. He hobbled off after 75 minutes, replaced by Otubeyo. Joe, I sincerely hope that he's not picked up an injury. Now he was walking around at full time, kind of getting the ripple of applause from the fans that were still there. But it would just be our luck, wouldn't it, that we find a bit of a diamond in the rough, and he then picks up an injury.
I mean, what a state of play for our football club, that we're relying on this kid who's probably on 200 quid a week, and he's holding our back line together, Yeah. And then he's out, and then it's like, have we got another one? It's like, no, we haven't. It's just, yeah. I mean, I'd be curious to know. Does anybody know the latest with Dishon Bernard? I don't think we do. I don't think. Is he back training or what?
Last time we heard, he said he's after the next international break, which is second week in October. And and he said it doesn't look good. I mean, look, if he was coming back second week of October, considering we're nearly in the first week of October already, you'd like to think that, like Shalabar, you'd see him training and stuff like that. There's been absolutely zero pictures of him playing any sort of football whatsoever. He did. I think he said last time it just doesn't look good, which isn't great. When did he pick up that injury? February time. So he's a good, 7, 8 months out at the moment. Which, I mean, look, just on that before we kind of continue talking about Weaver, just on Bernard for a second. Would you put him straight back in if he's
100%.
fit? Would you?
100%. I think Bernard was one of them where, like Max Lowe, like Jan Valery, I think we found a real player in there. I think he has got potential to play at a higher level than this. He's not the finished article, but the basics. He's quick, he's strong. He's not perfect, as we know, but he seems to have composure on the ball. For me, if we get Bernard back, we get Charles back, we get both back, amazing. But one of those stops Bannon having to drop deep to pick the ball up off Weaver or Iorfa, who seems at the moment not that confident to be able to get the ball forward. But fingers crossed, you'd like to think Bernard's back this side of Christmas. But I mean, I bumped into him in fan zone and I was asking him, and it was last game of season, and he was like, "Yeah, I'll be back next season. I'll be back early next season." But obviously you get setbacks with these injuries, don't you? So you can only imagine it's a bad one. And if he's had a relapse or another tear, you feel for the guy, and he wants to be playing as well as anyone else. So, hope he gets back fit and firing soon, because we do miss him.
Craig says the minute Deshaun is fit, he rips up his contract anyway. Yeah, he's had a few digs.
He's not getting paid anyway, is he?
Well, that's why he can just rip it up and get gone. Yeah, Louis also said he'll probably be back minimum January. Then he'll be sold. Laughing emoji. Matt said, didn't Pedersen say it doesn't sound good regarding the Weaver injury? I can't remember him saying that, or he didn't know. I think is what he.
It was on Radio Sheffield, and he just said, "We don't know. We don't know." So
yeah, so I mean you're never going to know what you're like, literally straight after. But like I said, he was walking around at the end of the game. If he's picked up a decent injury, I don't think you're going to be walking around kind of at the end of the game. No. You should be in the in dressing room doing ice pack on it, whatever else you need to do. Not really walking on it as best you can. But he wasn't on crutches either. So look, I'm ever the optimist. I'm trying to remain optimistic on the Ernie Weaver situation. Yeah. But I was impressed with Ernie though, because I think he
absolutely.
Again, I've not seen him before. Yes, I've watched all the other games, but again, in the flesh. I wasn't there for the Leeds game. I wasn't there at Pompey last week either. So to be there and actually watching him, and a lot of people were saying how he kind of commands that back four, and you could hear him as well at times. Telling Dom where he needs to be, like push up, and he's constantly scanning. And I mean, look, the professional footballers, we're talking as if he's playing for dog and duck. You know what I mean? We found a great player for Sunday League side, but like for someone so young and to be, let's be right, he's been thrust into the starting 11. Like he's been thrust into the first team. Probably didn't expect to be playing, at this part of his career. As he's been going through his development. But you know what? He's took the chance with both arms, and there was one point when he was kind of shepherding the ball out, and I don't know if that miscommunication with him and Horvath or not, and the lad got round and then he ended up giving a corner away. Other than that, he didn't really put a foot wrong, to be fair.
No, I think it's a real sign of the evolution of the game, isn't it? Because you look at these kids that are playing in the academy, they're just different gravy from the players of old. Centre-backs 10 years ago were still kind of just boot it. And then now, just as standard, they seem to want the ball at the feet. Like you say, it's amazing to see this young kid, kind of telling Dom, get forward, what you're doing. It was really a breath of fresh air. But if they've been playing in this academy system, and the academy seems to be doing great things, because there's been a few players come out of it that's not all still playing for Wednesday, unfortunately. But having both Cadamarteri brothers would have been lovely, but that's not to be. But yeah, I think it just shows how the game's evolving. And it's great to see, and he'll be missed because Gabe Otagbeo kind of burst on the scene and he looked great, but he doesn't seem to have the consistency. He doesn't seem to be as comfortable with the ball at his feet. Hopefully, a little bit of a break for him, a couple of games out might change that, but he does seem like a bit of an old school centre back, which is fine. But
just on Otagbeo there, I feel like, and I don't want to be harsh, I feel like he suffers with the same problem as Dom Iorfa. With that high, there's a bit of a lag from brain to feet. There's like a half a second delay. And it just looks. They both remind me of kind of Carlton Palmer-esque, in terms of the way, like lanky, like slender legs that are just kind of
rapid, big and strong.
Yeah.
Not
just
a natural ball player. Yeah, those two in a back four is terrifying.
Yeah, but when you watch someone like Barry Bannon, and again, it's smaller, isn't it? Shorter distance from brain to feet. That's all what it is. But that centre of gravity and things, it's just, I don't know. Again, probably being a bit too harsh. Apologies, Gabe, if you are listening.
Yeah. I can't string two passes together on a Tuesday night, as my mates will tell you. But here we are judging these professionals. But, we watch the game and you can tell when somebody looks a bit panicked. And I can't remember what it was. The one that really drove me mad was it Bristol, and it was just like a ball just pumped up. And I think it was Dom and Gabe both looked at each other, and I was just get a foot on it, just boot it away. And they watched it, and it bounced a bit, and they ran through and had a chance. But I don't think they scored. But you're just thinking, you don't see that happening with Ernie Weaver, which is a great compliment to him.
Yeah, James says more Viv Anderson-esque. Well, I wasn't around to witness Viv Anderson. So, James, I'll take your word for it, mate. I'll just nod and agree. Let's talk about the ref then. Again, I feel like you have to caveat all this week by saying we don't want to chuck refs under the bus and this, that, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. But we have a ref every single week, and let's just critique it for what it is, and let's just say it how it is. I tried to call a spade on here, and he lost it, mate. Yep. He had absolutely lost it. Just quickly for people that didn't know, John Brooks was his name. I've looked at his record. Last year he was reffing in the Prem, which I was a bit surprised at. He even took charge of the Carabao Cup final. Was it Liverpool-Newcastle, I think it was. I had done a bit of research on him. He was replaced as the VAR official for the Merseyside derby a few years back. So he'd made an error in disallowing a Brighton goal in a game prior. That was back in 2023. But Matt, he just absolutely lost it in the second half, hasn't he, really? It was just it's that word, consistency. That's all you want from a referee, innit? And he was just consistently shit, I think.
Yeah, I thought he started okay. I thought he gave Bannon a yellow card quite early on for a challenge that didn't look that bad. There were a number of times where players kind of just ran past QPR players and they seemed to go down and get a foul. And then there were other times where, I think towards the end of the game, I think Palmer got absolutely crunched by that little number 14, and he didn't give anything. So it was really inconsistent. I thought, you mentioned it already, I thought the linesman, there were a few cases where as soon as ball's played, you look up and you can tell that a player's at least 2-3 yards offside and then nothing's given. And it's like, you just want consistency, and it's like there were some crunching tackles went unpunished, and then there was some absolute nothing. I think, was it Ernie Weaver did one, and he literally just said, I put my hand on him and he fell over, and then they were giving that. So, yeah, it's just the inconsistency of it that kills you. But who would want to be a ref? Well,
yeah, there is that. But look, like I said, we call a spade a spade. The best one for me was in front of the south stand. It would have been, was it first half? Second half. Jan Valery. And their kid tackles him and kicks it out of play.
Yeah, and he were doing that that thing with your hand, don't you? Where they click their hand. Yeah. It will
but ref give a throw in. Ref give a throw into QPR, and I'm like, what you literally? I think you need to go on a physics course. Just look where the ball went.
Can't literally go there unless it's come off him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think what happened were Lino didn't have a clue, and ref didn't have a clue either, and he's just gone, yeah, that's going that way, that one.
Pick a side,
but it were, like you said, it were just constant inconsistencies with the way that ref did. The other one, I think it was a foul that we gave away outside the box. I think it was Bannon's yellow card. Actually, it was so quick to pull it back, like literally as soon as it happened. I think the ball actually fell to one of their players. All right, it didn't go forward, but they still kind of had an attack, and he was quick to blow the whistle and get it pulled back. Then there was a point again when we had the ball on the right hand side. We're attacking towards the Kop, and he's pulled it back, and you're like, we had the ball, like we literally played advantage.
The way that he was giving advantage did my nutting, because there were a number of times we broke away and he brought it back, and it's like, I think it was Ingleson, he turned around and he was like threw down into the channel and he was pretty much on his own and he just brought it back. It's like, what? How are we in a better position going back near the halfway line here?
Yeah, I mean, look, it was a foul and it should have been a free kick, but there is that thing called advantage, yeah, he kind of gave it when he shouldn't done, and he didn't give it when he should have. I think he had a bit of a mare, and do you know what as well? Again, he's in the Prem. I think now they have VAR. I think it's like a safety blanket for the refs.
Absolutely.
In that if they make a mistake, it doesn't really matter, because if they give. If they don't give offsides anymore, do they? So they just if it is a foul and he's not giving it, then and it ends up being a goal, they'll just pull it back anyway and say that it should have been. There was a foul in the build-up of play. So I don't know. Like you said, it is a difficult job. I know it is difficult, and I think there needs to be a lot of money spent on kind of referees and stuff, and in terms of bringing the next referees through. And I mean, I think. The better referees are the ones that let things go like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
If it's the same for both sides, I'm not. You're not going to be getting irate about it. Like I think there was I can't remember what game it was. A game I was watching on telly, and you're saying like, yeah, this is decent, because refs just letting it flow. There's some decent tackles coming in, but it's fair. And on another day you go, that could have been a yellow card, or it could have been a foul, but actually he's letting it go. And I think a great point that Steve's made again. The best refs are the ones that you don't notice.
Absolutely,
for 90 minutes. Yeah,
100%. I think. Do you remember? It'll be ages ago now. And FA put something out saying we just want to let the game flow. So we want to see more play, more football. And I think everybody's for that. You don't want to go to the game and notice the ref. You want to just watch the football. So like these little things where somebody runs around the back of somebody and they know that they can go down and get a foul. I forget the guy, but there was the ref last season. We had him a couple of times, and then players very quickly worked him out. Was it against Norwich or something? And they were just going down all the time, and he was just stopping it all the time. I ended up ringing Radio Sheffield, and I was on Praise or Grumble, and I looked at the stoppages, because I just remember thinking, that was a lot of stoppages, and it was something like 35 fouls he gave in the game. And then I was looking back at our averages, and it's like averages about 15, 20. So it's like 15 extra fouls in a game. That's 15 extra minutes that you just sat watching somebody line up a free kick or something. And it's like, they should be looking at the average number of fouls in the games and being like, actually, like, if I was running the referees thing, I'd be sitting them down, and I'm sure they do this, but like, look at this one here. Given your view on it, should you really be stopping it for that? Because it's just, again, it just kills the game, and especially like when goalies go down and they just fall on ball, and then they're holding it for like 30 seconds. It just drives you mad. You want to see football being played, and as that guy's just mentioned, the best refs are the ones you don't notice. James has mentioned it. Absolutely couldn't agree with that more. But you really did notice him on Saturday, and you came away from it thinking, he didn't cost us the game. I don't think the penalty shout he cost us the game, but on another day, you don't give that.
Well, talking about on another day, Barry Bannon, because if there's any QPR fans watching now, I think I'm being quite fair in my assessment of the referee, because I also think that Barry Bannon got away with one. I think he could have quite easily got his marching orders for the second time this season for another second yellow, because it was late. It was a bit clumsy challenge as well. I think he got past him. He just brought him down. Did you see him as well? Because as soon as he did that, he just walked off and he's pulling his socks up and just trying to be out of the way, like not really, not really, in the face of the referee, hoping that he's forgot about him or whatever. But I must admit, I thought, he's gone here. He's going to get a second yellow.
100% agree. I think, to be honest, I think what saved him is I think they played advantage for about another 5 or 10 seconds. And then I think there was another bit of a tackle after, and I thought that saved him. Because if it just went straight to one of our players, I think Bannon walks then. I absolutely agree. I thought he was very lucky for that.
Yeah, definitely. So we're nothing but fair, It's not being biased. You know, we're not saying that we should have won the game just because of the referee. Definitely not. No. Right, I'm just going to read a few tweets out. Obviously, we could do the 3-word match review at WTID Pod if you want to get involved after every game. Big Artie Shaw says sell the club. Mark Butler says good home point. Matt says well-earned draw. He's also got fuck off Chansiri on the picture of the... Obviously, clearly a chat GPT effort, this one, with the letters on the North Stand. East York's Owl says first home point. Chansiri out says good work, lads. Dave Thornton could have won. Jez, great team performance. I'll read a few more. Bazza masterclass, fair enough result. Should have won, can't expect more. Good competitive performance. That's a point. Like, competitive. That is one thing that I didn't think we would be this season, but we are competitive, aren't we?
Exactly, and I think as well, you have to remember QPR won 3 on the bounce. You know, they were a team coming here full of confidence. You could tell what they were trying to do with the passing, getting it out wide, getting it to their quick players, and causing us trouble. And I think we were really, really organised. And I think if we can compete like that, if you could bottle up a performance, give me that every week, and I think we'll be there or thereabouts come the end of the season. But it's just if we can continue to do it. But it was very, very competitive. You know, if anything, on the balance of play, I think we won the first half. And then I think probably drew the second half because obviously they were very on top, but then we come back into it. And towards the end of the game, last 15 minutes, I think they were only us winning that, really, unless they get you on an absolute, 3-on-1 break or something silly. But yeah, I thought they were only us snatching that win at the end.
Yeah, let's touch on the next upcoming games. So we're going to talk about... Well, actually, let's talk about Harry Amass, because we haven't really mentioned him much, and I feel like doing him a bit of disservice, because I thought he was another player who was fantastic.
Brilliant.
Looked 3 shots, 1 on target, he had 1 dribble, drew 4 fouls as well. I think you did actually reference him briefly, but some of his intricate, control is just fantastic. He has 2 men on him, and he kind of dances around him and comes away with the ball, and looks effortless. You can tell that he's come from Manchester United. Yeah. You can tell he's come from a Premier League outfit and plays football at a higher standard, or at least trying to anyway. Just in the way that he comes across. Yes, his defending might be, probably his weakest point. But although I thought he did well again yesterday, and I just feel like if we could have another one of him on the other side, I think we're not taking nothing away from Liam Palmer, but you're gonna if you had Harry Amass Mark II to play on the other side, you're 100% picking him any day of the week.
Yeah, and you feel for Liam Palmer, because the biggest compliment to Harry Amass is that Liam Palmer is not Harry Amass. He's making Liam Palmer look every bit his age on that side, because he gets the ball and there's 2 around him. And there was the number of times he shaped to play down the line and just cut inside. And then he's got 2, 3 around him, and then he'd try something, it wouldn't work, and he'd go backwards and he won't lose ball. But I think he's one of those rare cases where you look, who did we have on that left side last season? Number of times it was Johnson. I think is an improvement on Johnson. His close control is Gassama-esque. He just keeps the ball. He's better defensively than either of those as well. So I think he's a real improvement. I think Max Lowe is great on the left, but he's very defensive. He's not as much of a threat going forward. So he's been a real addition for us. And Liam's just said in the comments, Man United wants him back. I mean, you can see why. Absolutely. They're getting pumped.
To be fair, I mean, Man United might be looking at quite a few of our players, considering how they're getting on in the Premier League at the moment. Barry Bannon might be getting a gig in centre at Park. Better watch out in in January. Mark says Amas is a top young talent. He's getting better and fitter each game he plays. And Steve says he's definitely going to be some player. Yeah, definitely. I just want to bring this comment up from Craig. He said, this pod's been far too positive. When will normal service resume? I don't like it. I'm not used to it.
Listen, it'll be back to normal because we'll get a spanking by Coventry on Saturday. They'll turn. To be fair, though, I think Coventry as well, we were talking about this, I thought they were one of the poorest teams to come to Hillsborough. If not for James Beadle dropping ball at end of game, we'd have done them as well. But I think they're a different outfit to this time last year. And, it'll be a tough one.
Let's talk about those then. Just on the kind of negativity, we're not just for those listening as well. We're not doing extra time straight after this one like we normally do. Hopefully, the Ryder Cup will have finished by tomorrow, and Matt will be back to record extra time with me and kind of talk about kind of embargoes and things like that. So if you do want to listen to that, like I said, it won't be straight after this episode tonight, but you can sign up over and get yourself ready and prepped. Sign up over on Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod, and there'll be more details as to when we are going to be talking about all that negative stuff, keeping it away from the main pod, the Positive Happy Clapper podcast, as it might be now renamed. Let's talk about the games that we've got coming up then, Joe. We've got two of them. Birmingham City, first and foremost, on Tuesday. I mean, they've set off pretty well. 1 draw, 2 wins. They have since lost 3 of the last 4. So they have, admittedly, against Coventry, Stoke, and Leicester, which they're doing great guns at the top. But they have only scored 1 goal in the last 4. That was in the draw that they've picked up. The manager, I've absolutely no idea who he is. Chris Davies. Apparently he's retired at the age of 19. He was the assistant to Brendan Rodgers at Swansea, Liverpool, Celtic and Leicester. And he was also Big Ange's assistant at Tottenham as well. How I've not heard of him, I have no idea. But yeah, that's kind of a little bit on Birmingham. Would you make any changes, obviously, to the side that that beat Pompey and drew to QPR?
Yeah, I think you have to. I think... going Saturday, Tuesday, you have to make changes.
Who would you bring in though, Joe? Because you look at that bench, and who would you bring in for the players that we've got? We haven't got that many players to do that, have we? Really?
No, I think Jamal Lowe comes in. I think he can offer something. He's been productive for us. His numbers to the start of the season has been pretty good. Some assists, and I don't know. You can pull this up, but he's been quite productive, Jamal Lowe. I'm not sure if I would get rid of Cadamarteri. Even if he's tired, I'd still start with Cadamarteri for 60 minutes and then maybe bring Ugbo on, because I just think he's such a pressing threat. But other than that, maybe Otegbayo comes in for Weaver at the back. But I don't know. It's tricky, isn't it? What can you do? It'll be difficult to get anything out of Birmingham on Tuesday. But if we show some fight that we've shown in the last few games, you never know. It's always hard to break teams down when they're playing for each other. Your backs are against the wall, so just don't give them an easy goal. That's all I want.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the bench. This is the bench for the QPR game. You've got Yisset Alau, Joe Emery, Sean Fisher, Jamal Lowe, as you mentioned. We've got Charlie McNeil, Gabe Otegbayo, Logan Stretch, the goalkeeper. You've got Thornton and then Ugbo as well. So when you look at that, there's going to be, not counting the keeper, I think there's 3 there in Thornton, Emery and Alau, who, if they played, they'd be making the debut. I don't know, league debut that is, and certainly if they start, it'll be the first start that they've ever had in their career. Sean Fisher has played a few games. Maybe he could come in, but I'd like to think that Barry Bannon wouldn't get dropped, and neither would Jan Valery or Ingelsson really. So I can't see those 3 players needing to come out. But yeah, so you're looking at. It's Ugbo. I mean, maybe Charlie McNeil might get a bit of a nod, but it's it's hard because that's the worry in the game as well. When we are, Otegbayo only came on purely to because of the injury to Ernie Weaver, and Jamal Lowe and Ugbo they're the only senior players that you look at the bench and think, actually, they can come on and do something. Because even in that formation that we're playing as well, like, where does Charlie McNeil really fit into that formation? He doesn't, does he? Really, we're not playing with a number 10, and he's not a wing back either. So we need to rotate, because we're not going to be able to play the full season with just playing the same 11. That's why the Ernie Weaver and the George Brown, them coming in, Henrik's mentioned it. It has just kind of expanded the squad.
Yeah,
the players that he didn't kind of realise that he had, if you know what I mean, when he's looking at it. So yeah. I mean, do you fancy us on Tuesday against Birmingham?
If I have to be honest, no, I don't think so. I think Birmingham are a team that have ambition, and they will be fully expecting to beat us. I don't think they will underestimate us. I think QPR did. I don't think Birmingham will. I hope I'm wrong. But I think I'd like to see the same sort of starting 11, minimal changes if we can. I think young Valerie in midfield has been an inspiration. I thought he's done really well. So I'd keep that. Where possible, just keep Bannon and Valerie in the middle of the park, because Palmer is not a midfielder. He weren't a midfielder 10 years ago. He's definitely not a midfielder now. So keep those two together. I think Ingelsson has been a breath of fresh air, a real box-to-box midfielder, really grafts. I want to see a bit more technicality from him, a touch. I think they had a chance where he had a really heavy touch towards the end of the game. So I want to see him improve on that front and just get some shots away, get a bit more confidence. But maybe McNeil comes in. But like you say, he's not a wing back, so does he go in midfield? I don't know. McNeil reminds me of if you ordered Josh Windass off a Wish. He's like 50% Josh Windass. In his moments, he's brilliant, but then goes missing for even longer than Windass did. So yeah, I think Jamal Lowe probably out wide. I'd bring in just for a bit of more fresh air, and I won't make too many more changes. Injuries depending, but I don't see us getting much on Tuesday. I'd love a point, a bite hand off for a point, but yeah, I think it'll be really tough.
Yeah, I'm going to bring this one up here. James, why are you so scared to mention Simon's name? You're not going to delete this thread like the one you did last month. I don't even know what you're on about in terms of deleting threads and things. Simon, has he come out with some other revelation that the club's going to be sold in another 2 weeks or something? Because I'm still waiting for it to be sold. When was it, 2 weeks ago? So not too sure on that one. Getting some absolute pelters here. Josh, rubbish channel. Baldy hates Simon. That's why they both dropped bomb when he joined the live. Crap. I don't even know.
A bit harsh.
I know. Look, mate, I've had worse. So if
they're attacking your appearance, you're doing something right, eh?
Easy at size here. Look, think there is some good news coming very soon. I hope there is. Okay. We all want some good news. Of course we do. Like with Sheffield Wednesday fans, we don't want one chance here. Let's just wait for that good news to happen that the club's been sold. Or look, that's what we want in it at the end of the day, 100%. Coventry on Saturday as well, Joe. Mm-hmm. That is going to be a tough fixture because they're scoring for absolute fun. I mean, it is on Sky. It's a lunchtime kickoff. They're absolutely flying. They're second in the league, unbeaten, I think, as well. I don't think they've lost all season yet. They have got Millwall in midweek before they do play us on Saturday, but they have scored the most goals as well. 18 goals, 3 times as many as us, and nearly averaging 3 goals a game. I know that 7-1 has bumped up their stats somewhat, but I think they've also had a 3-1 win. I think they've had a 5-1 win in that as well. So, it's going to be tough, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, who is it that said it? Louis said it in the chat, free hit. It's just one of them games where you just say you have to target your games. QPR, to be fair, I didn't think we'd get anything out of that. We did. So you never know. I think it's a chance for us to, just go out there. I'm channeling my inner football manager. Go out there and play without any pressure. The pressure's all on the other side. Your defenders like this comments. They feel like the pressure is relaxed off them. I could do this job, I'll sign up for Pedersen's job. But what can you do? You've got 2 tough games coming up. you just have to hope that there's some fight, and we don't make it easy for them, and we don't roll over.
Do you know what though? I think this. I don't think I'll admit it, Henrik. He definitely won't when he comes in as his pre or post match press conference. But I think there's games this season that he's going to target, and games that he's not going to target as well. I think last week against Portsmouth, even though it was away from home, I think that was definitely one where we went for it because it's a performance I've not seen all season really. Did we go for it against QPR? I think possibly. I don't think we didn't go for it.
Yeah,
I'm not going to say that it was going to roll over against Birmingham and Coventry, but it's one of those where if we don't come away with 3 points, I don't think it's going to be.
No,
he's not going to be as disappointed if you know what I mean. Look, of course we want to win the game, and he's not going to go there and just like I said, just not try. Of course he's not. But I just think these games that we can actually get something out of, and these games that we probably won't either. I think Birmingham away is going to be a struggle, and Coventry again, even though it is at home, not many people. Look, stranger things happen, but not many people are going to back us to beat them. Really, to be honest, saying that nobody backed us to beat Portsmouth either. So
no,
who knows? Who knows?
Who knows? It'll be interesting to see if we get a few more kids starting. But honestly, I still think I'd try and pick same sorts of players, and then if you go a couple of goals down in first half, I'd start bringing some youth on. What have you got to lose? Maybe rest Bannon for second half against Coventry if you're 2 goals down. Something, I don't know. It'll probably have to be dragged off kicking and screaming, but I think you're gonna have to make some ruthless decisions. And if you're going up against a team that's top of the league, that's not the games you should be targeting. So.
Right, let's wrap things up there. Joe, massive thanks for coming on. At such late notice, I'm not going to lie. when Matt messaged me about, I think about what, it must have been 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. He messaged me saying, "I've just woken up. I'm really struggling." And as he was saying it, I was thinking, "Oh shit, is he going to be all right for the pod?" And he's like, "Mate, I'm not. I'm really, really sorry."
You're thinking about your podcast,
mate. Time's ticking. Time is ticking. He ain't dying. He's been watching.
You don't know that. You haven't spoken to him for an hour.
No, well, he might be now, but I'll just check. Europe are winning comprehensively, so he'll be absolutely fine. But no, in all seriousness, thanks for coming on at such short notice, mate. Do really appreciate it. It's that hour and a half has absolutely flown by, Joe.
Yeah, and I look forward to joining you on stage for my winner's medal. I feel like John Terry. I'm going to turn up in a suit and boot. I've not played a single game. I've come on for one. Yeah.
You're not going to turn up in that shirt, are you? Is that the one you're going to wear?
Bannon on back. Yeah, absolutely. DH Gate special. Stop asking. I won't. Chance here isn't had any of my money. DH Gate special.
I did warn you. You'll get a few comments, and obviously people have been dipping in and out because I saw that comment come up quite a few times.
Is that the giveaway, the EFL badge on the sleeve? I don't think you get that on the proper one. I think that's the giveaway, isn't it?
And the fact that it's just like a transfer, because I think the actual one is more like it's more substantial. It's more substantial in it.
Yeah.
It's a bit thicker. The actual badge on the arm, but
better quality cloth. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Right. Thank you very much, everyone. Do really appreciate everyone watching. Like I said, no extra time straight after this. It will be tomorrow. So make sure you join Patreon, patreon.com/WTID pod. And please stop messaging me on the shop asking when you can get one of them black and yellow scarves. I'm trying my best. They can only make 1,000 at a time. And obviously they flew out outside the ground on Saturday. But there is another home game next Saturday. So, if I try and if you get one through the shop, it does take a while to get there. So your best bet is getting one outside the shop. There's 4 places where you can get one. Get there a little bit early. Grab one of these black and gold scarves, and yeah, I'm trying. I know there's people want to buy them online. I am trying my best because they flew out in 57 minutes. I had to turn my notifications off my phone, Joe, because I had to rope the missus in. I had to rope the missus in to start packing them and stuff, and we had a right little sweatshop going. In front living room, we had a mate. It was like working in. Just trying to think of a clothes shop off the top of my head there. Pretty Little Thing, let's call it. Top shop. That's gone.
Whoa! Better than your choice. There's a lot about you picking that one.
Hey, I only know because I see them parcels coming in front door.
Yeah,
Do you know
all
what I mean?
right, all right. Listen, but everybody on your case about these scarves. I wouldn't envy your job because how many packages you've been sat packaging up and shipping out. I'm not signing up for that. You know, I want to support the club, but I'm not sending out hundreds of scarves. You know,
I walked into One Stop because they were sent them by Yodel, so I packed them all up, got the label on. I walked into to Yodel with a great big IKEA bag and then 2 of them heavy duty shopping bags full of these scarves, and the woman just looked at me like I'd walked in on Christmas Day and pissed on the kids. Do you know what I mean?
Drug dealer's bag.
Yeah, I walked in and she was like, "Fucking hell!" Like you at this time.
Yeah,
Mate,
you
it
come in with
didn't take that
57
long.
parcels. I'm going home in a minute.
She said to me, she went, "What have you been selling on Vinted?" I'm like, "Nah, these aren't Vinted. These aren't Vinted." Anyway, we are just rabbiting on and absolute nonsense. But Steve says, I've seen one on Vinted today, lol. I'm surprised they're not on eBay for about 55 quid. They will be, you know, by the time all this is over. Absolute collector's item. But yeah. Right. Let's see. We are wrapping it up now. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Do really appreciate it, as always. Hope everyone's had a laugh and a giggle, probably at my expense, but anyway. Right, we're going to be back on, I'm going to say Wednesday, but no, we're going to be back on Tuesday, doing a watch-along for the Birmingham game. Make sure you join me for that one. That should be good fun, as always. And then we've got Wednesday, we've got the debate show, we've got extra time doing tomorrow. It's like a full-time job, this podcast, but no. Thank you very much, everyone, and we'll see you all next time.